Hey Blender heads, it's MeshWeaver. Now this tutorial is going to be much more specific than my other tutorials, because usually I just go over the techniques of how to do something, like unwrapping or setting up a basic cloth system or whatever. But in this tutorial we're actually going to be making something using a variety of techniques or aspects of the program. First off, modeling, which is maybe the base element in almost all projects. We're going to be using the setting up the scene, lighting, renders. We're going to be using unwrapping, but you don't need to watch my unwrapping tutorial, because I will explain how to do that. And we are going to be using nodes for texture modification. So first off, you might be wondering, okay, we're making super mushrooms, but which ones? Because there are like 10 different designs for them. But the ones I'm going to be making are maybe a bit more classic, like the super mushrooms in the original game, Super Mario Bros. So maybe a bit more flat on the bottom of the cap, like this. Maybe fix the eyes a bit, because I find them a bit square in there, but not something like this, because these are the new ones. But you could make these ones if you want, because I think the same techniques apply. But I'm going to be making some like this. So yeah, let's go right in and stop fooling around. Well, not fooling around. I wasn't fooling around. Sorry, this is my second run through, because I was working on the tutorial, and I was on part 2 because I had to cut it down, and Blender crashed, and I had forgotten to save. So I lost everything, so I'm actually starting over here. So switch to front view using 1 on your number pad if the thing will work. Whoops. Okay, that's my keyboard. So switch to front view using 1 on your number pad, and then switch to orthographic view mode using 5 on the number pad. So first off, delete the cube. So that's X, delete, and then confirm. And shift and add a UV sphere. Not a UV sphere, a cylinder. So that's Shift A, mesh tube. Now by default, these come with 32 vertices on the circumference, but we don't want 32, we want 16, because 32 is just a bit too much. 16 is enough. It's still like low poly, but enough so that you still have a lot of stuff to work with. So switch to top view, then tab into edit mode, deselect your mesh, and then box select these two center vertices. However, I have the limit selection to visible activated by default, and I don't know why I haven't fixed it yet. But anyway, select these two vertices in the center and delete them. So okay, we now have a cylinder. So now select this bottom edge loop here, the ring. You can either do this by pressing Alt right click, which selects the entire loop, or just plain old box select, or even circle select if you want, but I rarely use circle select because I often forget that it's there. And I rarely need something like that. But anyway, what we want to do is extrude this bottom one. So press E to extrude, press S so that you scale the extrusion, and scale it down to 0.5. So that's half its normal size. Now extrude it again, but this time cancel it by either clicking, right-clicking or pressing Escape. Then press W and merge at center. Now it says remove 15 vertices. I'm very happy that they've brought this back. It's much nicer. You may notice, however, that there's this nice, really dark circle right there, and we don't want that. So let's select our mesh. Now, wait, let me explain why that happens first. This is caused by a normals problem. Now, normals are the basically the direction in which a face, like this, faces. So by default, these should all face outward. If I activate normal viewing, you can just see it turns like kind of spiky, but they're all on the exterior. Because look, if you look on the inside, there aren't any on the interior. But the problem with this internal one is that because we merged them, the vertices, it's Blender's gotten all confused. So what we need to do is select our mesh, the entire mesh, or just the section, press Ctrl N, which corrects the normals problems. So yeah, okay, that seems good. So next thing we want to do is not make the stem quite so high, because if you look at my render here, they are not huge, they're just like kind of short, and this one's even shorter. But what we want to do is bring these down by 0.6. Now, you're lucky because now I remember most of what I did, so less time fooling around trying to fix everything. So yeah, that should be fine. So what we need to do next is add a subsurf modifier, just so we can see what we're doing a bit better. So add modifier subsurf, and that's in the wrench panel. So in modifiers, and just turn this up to 2, turn on optimal display. So we get a fairly nice mushroom shape here, but I'm not liking this super flat part. So let's select this bottom edge loop, or edge ring, and just bring it up by 0.15. Okay, that seems good. And add another loop cut in here, bring it all the way up, and just bring it back down by, and you can use snapping, which helps. That's press Control. So maybe right there. That looks perfect. Yeah. Okay, so that was quicker than last time. And okay, next we have to rename the mesh because the object. This is an important part. Let me just realign this for later. Bring the top edge right on the x-axis, and that's 0 basically. It's the origin. So what you want to do is rename your mesh, your objects as you go. So mushroom, actually R mushroom for red mushroom underscore stem, and not st with a comma like I just did. So that's red mushroom stem, so that's fine. Now next step is the cap. So Shift A, add a mesh UV sphere. Okay, and tab into edit mode. Whoops, just a second. Delete the UV sphere and re-add it, but before doing anything else, bring up either the T panel, the tool panel, or press F6 to bring up the object's properties, and just change the segments down to 16. Can hide that other panel right there, the end panel, and tab into edit mode with your sphere select.